Around in circles here.
Yes, sir.
About disciplinary referrals and how they are walking slow. The real answer is what you've just said. Yes. You don't believe that the report is genuine. You've just said it yourself.
But that's not the reason why there are delays.
No. You don't get to play both sides, You do not get to play both sides. You have just discredited, in your view. You've said it's not genuine. Out of your own mouth.
All right, sir.
You can't expect us not to link it to the complaint we've had about failing to take action even in the most minor of cases, which is failure to upload a tender document. You've said the quiet part out loud.
Okay. I agree.
You have, right?
I agree, sir.
This is a serious difficulty, because if that is what you believe, I would expect then that the municipality itself would want to take the report on review.
We have no intention of doing that, sir.
But you don't get to play both sides in this. You don't get to be in no man's land on this issue, You don't get to do that. If you don't believe the SIU report is credible, it says for anyone over the age of 18, you will be reluctant to take any action based on its recommendations because you think it's trash.
But I've taken actions already, sir.
No. Okay. Let me give this to but what you've just said answers a lot of questions that the members have had. Because you, and I will ask the executive mayor, if this is a view that is shared by council, by you and council, that the report is not credible. Because here is the moral trap you put yourself in. If you feel there are other people who should have been investigated and finding ways, did you take the trouble upon being updated to say, we understand these matters are serious. There is actually information that we believe would assist you in this investigation, and here it is. Did you do that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Okay, let me give the members because then we need to have another session with the SIU, because clearly you are saying they made omissions, but the fundamental thing is you don't believe that the report is credible. That's the bottom line.
But the bottom line is that we are implementing the report, sir.
Okay, I don't want to make this an argument between myself and Honorable Madlala. You had your turn. So to the extent that is somebody who wants to, because I don't want to monopolize a conversation just on this point of the report not being credible. Maybe, Mayor, let's start with you. Do you also believe the report is not credible?
Thank you so much, Chairperson. The report has been taken to council, presented to council. Council accepted the report. Council mandated the municipal manager to prosecute the recommendations as far as it falls under his scope as an accounting officer. And further, council mandated the executive mayor to deal with issues that pertain to one of the employees who is a senior manager directly employed by council. That one is done by the executive. Now, in no uncertain terms, the council accepts the report with no issues, and neither has something been brought to council, let me say, from either the side of the municipal manager to say, I have got issues that I would advise council to look at in a different way. I think I'm clear on that one. Now, the second point is, I'm not exactly sure about the choice of words, but part of the issue is around the scenario that we are all talking about now. We have got Honorable Matiwane, Honorable Mkalipi, Honorable Nkuna, Honorable Zibi, Honorable Mkize, who were sitting in the committee. Now, with them charged for having sat in a committee that took this decision, all right? Now, here's the issue. Honorable Sabisa, who was a chairperson of this committee, is not referred for being disciplined. Now, this does not talk to the genuineness of the report. Not at all. Nor does it seek to cast aspersions. But
Can I ask a point of clarity? I'll be very concerned if the transgression by the SIU, in the SIU's view, is that somebody simply sat in a meeting. You get what I mean? So, and both of you are using the same language. And to your point about choice of words, I suspect you mean something else, which is the SIU makes specific allegations against individuals, which is why you can't just charge everyone for being there. You have to make us, in order for disciplinary action to be possible, you have to make a specific allegation against each person. And that is why the SIU individualizes the referrals.
I'm sure.
So just help us. When you say people are being charged for being in the meeting, it doesn't sound right.
It truly does not, but that is my understanding, that you would have a few who would have to be charged because they sat in the committee that took this decision. And I make this point again to say, the person who was chairing is not necessarily referred. But I was, as you were interjecting, I was emphasizing this point that look at this at the point of a referral being made, not at the point of a final report coming, because if you would put these together, you'd conflate them and probably come with an impression that the report is under question. But it's explained in the context of saying these are part of the issues that one would have to sit and discuss with the SIU to say, from where I am seated, I do not have a sufficient ground to charge this person on the basis that, yes, he might have said there, but I do not have something tangible to say, so and so did this. So it is in that context that you have to take some of these things back to the SIU to have a discussion with them about coining a charge against a particular individual. But to the first point I emphasize, we have no questions about the report. We accept it and will prosecute it. But I was only explaining on the latter part the issue and context of the engagement about the referrals then. Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, I don't believe that the SIU's referrals preclude the organization from charging anyone else who may be guilty of wrongdoing. It doesn't. So you can't say because so-and-so is not referred, our hands are tied. Right? If anything, the referrals may give the employer the thought that, hang on, we did not realize this is what was going on. Let us dig further. And you find that the SIU may have thought there are 3 people implicated. Actually, there are 7. Because you've now started looking into it. I have to say, Executive Mayor, what I am surmising from what the municipal manager is saying is that he has difficulty with the propositions contained in, because the referrals are in the report, ultimately. Right? He has difficulty with it for the reason that there were people who were not charged. And secondly, I will ask the SIU to forward us the referrals, similar to the way you forwarded us for BCMM, which we're going to share with members, right? So that we can look at them, because we are going to take a break, so that we can have a look at them. As I have seen those referrals, they can run up to 5 pages per employee. So for you to say somebody's being charged for being in the meeting is just odd for me. I don't know how the SIU would frame the transgression of the statute if it's simply because Honorable Matiwane was in the meeting. For instance, the person who's to be charged for failure to upload, there's a specific allegation they failed to upload. It's not being in the meeting. But your posture towards this investigation and what it asks you to do is concerning I have to say. Honorable Matuna, I saw your hand.
No, thanks, Chair. Siyabulisa esebumnyama. No, Chair. I think to save time, it was just an intervention. I think the CFO is the one that I believe would know in detail. But usually when a bid, especially to the mayor, because I know we are not on operational matters. Usually, Babu Mayor, when a bid adjudication sits, each individual have their own score sheet, and also you have minutes. Now, when the SIU refers you for misconduct or whatever, it does that based on that scoring. Your sheet alone as a person is written your name, how you scored, each company for whatever reasons that you might have provided. Then I believe SIU would have done investigation based on that scoring. Usually, what usually happens as I learn, Chair, what you usually find as a common corruption and fraud is that you find out that out of a committee that has 5 people, 3 of them will collude to give a person a tender that does not deserve it. So when SIU says charge these ones, he says charge them because it says that they would have colluded to give this person particular points that they do not deserve. I thought I should bring that into line. I know the CFO would know it in detail. You might not be dealing with it. When you might just think it's about you in the meeting. It's actually about what you do when you're in that particular meeting. I thought I should bring that into the meeting. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, thanks. All right, Matuan.
Late. No, Chair. Also, I'm having a difficulty with the approach that the municipal manager is taking. This no-fault approach that is taking to the proceedings, and I would like to draw him to the Municipal Financial Management Act, specifically Section 61, which deals with his fiduciary responsibilities as an accounting officer. There was this item. He made it as if it's just water under the bridge. The issue of the private investigation, where employees were acquitted. He doesn't tell us that the court said that the contract of the private investigator was unconstitutional. In fact, it's in the report that it was unconstitutional. Even the National Treasury made a finding to say that it was irregular. And as an accounting officer, he has duties that are legislated to protect the interest of the municipality. And with the approach or the attitude that is displaying here, I don't think that, as members have alluded, that you don't see that this process can be taken to its final conclusion when there is no willingness on the part of the municipal manager, who has a fiduciary responsibility towards the municipality. But he says we're not going to take, the municipality does not intend to take the report for review. Why mention it in this committee then? That you don't find the report credible. Why do you have to mention it if you do not intend taking it on review? We are being abused, Chair. Please intervene.
Okay. Thank you. So we've taken all the comments on this now. Honorable Madlala's questions were outstanding. Can we just finish those questions? I am well aware, before I go to Honorable Buthelezi and Honorable Mdolo, that we were able to walk in and out, you not, to go to the bathroom. So I would also like to take care of that. Can we deal with the members' comments in follow-up and the remainder of Honorable Madlala's questions? And then when we come back from body break, we'll start with Honorable Buthelezi.
Thanks so much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, allow me to deal with a question regarding the Nzonyeni project as well as the reservoirs in Kanduli. To start with the Nzonyeni, Honorable Chair, I think I must indicate that the program was registered under MIC for an amount of about 900 million rands, 900 plus million rands. And I indicated in the morning that the program is disintegrated into various projects, One first project was the construction of the abstraction works, which amounted roughly to about 97 million rands. And then the second one is the one that's currently being undertaken. The construction activities are going on. It's on the construction of the water treatment works for an amount of about 210 million rand. That's the award. The one that I said is was almost 20%. And the dam, which is really still under, I would say, under advanced planning in terms of developing the tender document, which we indicated that by September, we hope that will be executed. That is, the contract will be appointed to begin the construction of the dam. We are not sure, but we anticipate in terms of the designs that it should amount roughly to about 238 million rands. And now the critical question was about when is it expected to be completed? The dam will be completed almost 2 years after it has commenced, that is sometime in September. So we're looking roughly at about 2029 in terms of having the dam completed. However, I must state that upon completion of the dam, there will be quite a number of phases that will have to be undertaken by the district, of which that include the tertiary component of the project, that is the reticulation. And in some places, it's not the green fields, it's brown fields. And we're hoping to connect the brown fields where there's existing infrastructure. Even if it's bad, we have to consider that infrastructure and utilize it to ensure that some communities benefit from the project. That means it's going to be continuously phased with the benefiting the communities. So the program, I think ultimately, it can take quite a long time because I've indicated it's quite vast. It's a vast program in ensuring that all our communities are fully reticulated. We are talking about almost 13 wards, and of those wards, almost 2 local municipalities that have to be served by the program. So that's where it is at this stage. For now, definitely, we're actually working in terms of source development, developing the source, that is the abstraction, the dam, and the water treatment works, and then looking at the possibilities of supplying the people that are around, that are in close proximity to the source. So that's where it stands regarding the Ntsonyeni project. Then I move on to reservoirs. I think the question was around whether within a year, how did we manage to activate those reservoirs? I think that's the question. I must indicate that those reservoirs basically are the secondary bulk. It's not the primary, it's not the tertiary infrastructure. At the time when you visited the district, there was a project which is tertiary, that is the Lukwetu project, where we had started reticulation. That was phase 1. In that project was approaching completion some villages. And when those villages were completed, we managed to connect them. So some communities, upon completion of the reticulation, we connected them to the secondary bulk. Similarly, I think the biggest challenge that we had, of course, was the water, because we didn't have sufficient water. I think we've indicated that one treatment plant, which is Thornhill, which is supposed to actually serve these reservoirs with water, is still upgraded. However, we managed to ration the water to ensure that these reservoirs actually get water. And secondly, what we did, we actually even drilled boreholes around so as to augment the supply from the Thornhill water treatment works in order to ensure that our communities benefit from the existing infrastructure. So right now, as we speak, that some core reservoirs are connected to boreholes instead of receiving water directly from the Thornhill, which is Mtata, that is Mtata Dam. So they benefit from boreholes, and those communities really they benefit from the system, from the infrastructure that exists there. Thank you, Chairperson.
Executive Mayor.
Just in case you grant the request for flying to Tambo, there still are reservoirs on the Ngeleni border side where there's still no water on those, because I don't want to be heard to be saying all reservoirs have got water. The explanation we're making is with regards to the ones on the Mkanduli wing. Otherwise, as far as the Ngeleni border side, there is work that's still being done to ensure that we get water, including augmentation and other mechanisms. I thought it's important because I don't know what will be the decision of the chair about the request. Thank you.
What will happen faster is this information getting to the village WhatsApp group there. And an answer coming in fast with pictures. Okay, honorable members, I don't want, apart from the body break, I also don't want the members to eat cold food because they provided food. So can I just ask that we break for 20 minutes so that you can also just get a refreshment? Honorable Ndamase, I've noted you, but only after Honorable Buthelezi and Honorable Mtolo, not before. No. 20 minutes. is to domineer.
Sorry, I was largely covered, Chair, thank you, but there's still something that bothers me. When we go back to the unauthorized expenditure and irregular expenditure, and we look at the amounts of 500 and something million and 400 and something million, and then, you know, I understand the report is there and it says what was done, but I'm saying in some cases, and I used to work in a bank, you know, in my younger days, and if somebody does something wrong, something criminal, we don't even go the way of a HR process. When we bring the police in and they take you away, and we can prove the money is in your account and you know it's gotten there. I don't know if it's the same. I never worked in a municipality, but in the bank, if you were guilty of something like this, now the impression I got earlier on with and what the MM said is that some of these people left, and there's nothing we can do. That worries me. So you can go work in a municipality, you can steal R1 million, and then you resign, and then you're okay. They won't go after you. So but I just need some clarity on that, please. Maybe there's something on the PFMA that I don't know, but just some clarity on that, if you don't mind, sir. Thanks. And then I was largely covered with the one that worried me also very much was the fact that the people that were renting places, if there is a problem there, but you know, the executive mayor spent a lot of time explaining that one, so I'm good with that. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Honorable Tabash. A municipality is kind of like a bank. There's a lot of money there.
I know. Trust me. A lot more than in a bank.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's also true. Thank you. I'm skipping you, Honorable Damas. You had more chance, Honorable Tellis.
Thanks and good evening. Good evening, Chair, and good evening to the co-chair, Kavazela, and your committees, and of course the delegation here. Maybe if Chair, I just touch very quickly on what Upega was saying in Zulu, because it touches on also on the point I'm going to mention. When in isiZulu they say umlomo yishoba lokuziphungela, which is a mouth is like a whisker where you keep away the flies from your mouth. But I suppose, and those who are more enlightened, you could say that someone is a gift of the gab. So you can read between the lines what that stands for. Chair, thank you very much for the opportunity. But I know that the statement I would like to make, really, I find very compelling, because at least we have the benefit of dealing with our Tambo, with your committee. You must just look at this as from someone who's interfacing for the first time with them. Really, sitting here this morning, listening to the MM and the mayor, several times I asked myself, why were these people hauled here? Because all the boxes tick. I mean, really, that's how compelling it was. I think it's only now, maybe, when questions are asked, that we realize that maybe they're not that maybe. Definitely, there's something more than meets the eye. But that was a compelling feeling I had. But at the same time, I think then maybe what the MM was doing all the time was to stick his neck out or put a stake in the ground to say, if anyone comes there in June, all this will not be there. When he was, we was putting his neck out that if you come in June or any time after that, all this will no longer be there. He challenged anyone to come there, and we'll see that. I think this sentiment was really consolidated also when he said it's not every day people take the AG on review, to the point that the AG say, no, let's talk. Don't take me on review. But now when you look at the points raised by the AG, against the points raised by the OR Tambo. I think my feeling is that, Chair, the AG's points outweigh the points. I hear about the review, but there are quite a few, I think, which were pinpointed specifically, I think by Honorable Gupega, where they were asked and they were a bit silent or on the answer on those questions from the AG. Then the other question I was very interested in is that, yes, you went there as the committee, and they were addressing very specifically how they dealt with each and every one of the things you raised. What concerns all the time is to ask it, because many municipalities cannot really come forward with this one to say what barometer or what dipstick do they use to actually test from time to time the delivery of service to their citizens. Because there are so many times where you'll find that there's this response which is very, very clear in terms of these committees when you do the oversights. I mean, some people, they will tell you that maybe it's a MM, they will say it's a town hall. But really, how do you gauge from time to time? Because there are so many moving parts. Actually, one is feeling dizzy from this morning. There are so many, I suppose it's the complexity of the municipality. It's the nature of the beast. Now, there are so many moving parts here then that it does beg the question really to say, are you, you meaning the team, your team there, do you believe you are the right jockey for the horse right now with all the moving parts and the challenges? Because there are still challenges galore as far as this is concerned. And maybe the chair, last but one, because a lot of these have been covered, is the one of people like the criminals. I always find it very disturbing when they say somebody left, okay, we left it because he left. What portion of this is criminal of the people? What portion is internal disciplinary? Because if it's criminal, even if after a person has left, you pursue them. Because quite a few times the MM said, well, we didn't do anything because he had left. I don't think that it's definitely unacceptable, that sort of thing. But it will be very, very interesting to indicate. But because there were quite a few people in that municipality who have been disciplined. Chair, I think that that's all I wanted to ask, because other points have been covered. But the most important one, of course, is that it's commendable that they have a clean audit, the 3 consecutive periods. But then, as one member said, that does not automatically translate to delivery of service. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mdo.
No, thanks, Chair. Chair, most of the questions actually were covered, but I would like to make just a few comments with regard to the power that actually the MM has showed to these committees. I'm very much worried, Chair. I understand that actually it might happen that actually the MM has been in public service for many years. So, but why I'm saying that I'm worried about the power that actually has showed. One, how come that actually there could be a report to council, and that report actually is adopted, and the MM will come before these committees and tell us that actually, as far as is concerned, so it was not happy about that report, the SIU report, whereas that report actually was adopted by council. So that has shown the reluctance that actually, and the political will and willingness with regard to that report of the SIU, and the boldness that actually the MM has showed with regard to Auditor General report or issues raised by the Auditor General, you know, one will understand and expect the MM to understand that the MM actually, as a Chief Accounting Officer, will understand his role in terms of closing gaps if the report of the SIU report has gaps. So that doesn't take power from the MM in terms of playing his role as Chief Accounting Officer. One would have expected actually that the MM should actually close those gaps. So if there were people that actually were not charged, in MM's views, those people were supposed to be charged. Nothing stopped the MM to assist the SIU in charging those people. But seemingly, the MM was lamenting to these committees that actually, seemingly, there were gaps, you know, in terms of the SIU report, and the MM was not assisting the process, but instead the MM was identifying gaps or weaknesses in the report of the SIU. So these are the concerns that actually one is having, seeing the MM failing to play his role where he's supposed to play, but is in a position to identify the weaknesses of the report or the gaps in the report itself. Hence, actually, Chair, I agree with you that actually we spent a lot of time asking ourselves why actually there was this resistance with regard to SIU report. MM has just told us clearly, showed us that actually they were resisting because of what he raised to this house. You know, so I'm worried, you know, but I was happy in the manner in which the Honorable Mayor responded to MM's attitude in regard to the report that was sent to Council. If the MM actually will disown that report, that report was actually adopted by Council. Because we won't expect actually the Chief Accounting Officer to come before us here and disown the report that was adopted by Council, or maybe raise issues about the report, because we'll expect the MM to raise issues in Council or advise Council accordingly, but not Council to adopt the report and MM comes here in Parliament and raise issues about the report that was adopted by Council. I thought maybe it's important that I raise those issues. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Honorable Damas.
Thank you very much, Chair. Two issues, Chair. It may not sound as a straightforward question, but of course it's both a question and a caution, as well as an advice. The advice can be accepted or be rejected. I won't feel anything as a Democrat. Look, in the issue of Chair of the SIU investigations, I hope as the municipality, we are aware that there is something called governance there, which does not even require SIU. There are things that the municipality should be doing without anybody raising anything about them. Because sometimes we can get carried and think that we're trying to manage audit. We're going to stand up when the issues are raised by the Auditor General. And that is not the way to do things. You don't manage audit. You manage the institution. And therefore, on that score, it is to say, whatever is shown to us as a blind spot, we don't look for defense mechanisms. We don't have to as an organization, particularly as an accounting officer and an executive authority. There might be, when we're not there, that's my view, there must be a situation where the accounting officer is on the side of the Auditor General and on the side of the SIU against his own executive management. That will be the proper way of doing, because your executive management as a collective is not always going to be right, because some of them will be implicated in one way or another by the issues that are being held. And therefore, administration as we know it, there will be a situation where there is a lagger that is created by a certain grouping or certain individuals within the whole municipality. I'm just saying that is also possible. So as an accounting officer, you must open up and have room for every corner. You can't think that you are right. You are definitely right on this matter. That's my one. And therefore, on the side of the executive authorities to say, there is a role that he plays and he is supposed to play when we are not there, because he is also an oversight function when we are not there of that municipality, and that is why he is the executive mayor. And I would wish a situation not here, when they are there, they are able to play these checks and balances, because that is how the administration, that is how the government is structured. And if you don't use those, you will find yourself in a dark corner, all of you, in a situation where you are supposed to be saying, no, don't go that far in terms of the law that is there. That's one. Number two, is this question of organizational structure. That's my last point. I listened to the accounting officer responding to the question about the organogram, and he went further and articulated what is it that they are doing currently, because there is this job evaluation. We appoint you, and we appoint you on the condition that we are still going to subject your position. You know, I would go back if I was them to the risk register. I would go back, because there is a risk there. There is no guarantee that if you employ me at task grade 16 now, and you say this is condition to the job evaluation process, I'm saying it from my experience, you can find a situation where the manipulation that is primarily led by the organized labor in the situations of job evaluation might result to me when I was task grade 16 becoming 18. And you will say, no, this has been a democratic process, labor and that. But then you plunge yourself and the organization to a situation where you have to pay. And that is why my question initially was also saying, did you look at what is happening next door? Because in KSD, they have lost in the Constitutional Court because of the job evaluation. And I can tell you, you can say to other people, not to me, that it's a scientific process. It's not. I know it's not. Because there are people who are there to make sure that their jobs, they get upgraded every time they are subjected to this. And we know it because we have been in the administration for a very long time. So they have a risk. They must be able to look into that in terms of their own risk register in relation to the organogram. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ndamas. I'll take one more member on this side, because I want to be able to expedite matters. Honorable Maduna.
No, thanks, Chair. I would have not been prepared yet, but nonetheless.
We can take you last if you...
Okay.
Honorable Nantenja is ready.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I would like to pose a question to MM. Earlier on, when he was talking about the Lusigi contract, he said they should have terminated. And when the House was asking why didn't they, he talked about the system failures. I would like to know what was he referring to when he talks about system failures on a situation where they should have done something and they didn't do it. And he still believes that they should have done it. My second question refers to a situation where he was talking about how many households are they servicing, and they're not servicing over 40% of the household. And he was saying he thinks they should go and talk to ESCOM and all that. Does that thought only occurred here, or is it something that they've been thinking? On the disciplinary, on the presentation, his There are more than 3, if I'm not mistaken, instances where the employer failed to be there. So there was no representative of the employer, which means no representative of the municipality while it should be there. I would like to know what were the reasons, or is it part of the credibility of the reports? And finally, when it comes to those who retired and those who resigned, does it end there? Or do you have to do another process where you, if there are criminal charges, they should have been charged criminally? The same applies to the situation where you say the case was thrown out, where you had your investigators that you came up with, and it was said that you didn't follow the process. What stopped you after the court said that from getting another investigator? Follow the process, because the municipality failed to follow the process on that investigator. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Shall we get answers to those, and then we'll take the remainder? Yes, now we're going to get answers, and then the final round will be everybody else.
Thanks, Chair. Let me take this opportunity to deal with a few issues that have come up now, and some before we took the break. One of those is as it relates to the question that came, I think, from Honorable Telezi, that was saying, what barometer do you use to measure your performance as a municipality, to say you are delivering this, you are doing what you're supposed to be doing? Which is a fair question. I am sure I'm not going to answer satisfactorily, owing to the vastness of the space, but I do want to say that we are putting systems in place. We've put systems in place. Amongst many, if you talk about the actual provision of services, we have just presented to the committee the extent to which we've been able to cover in terms of households now, and actually translated that to the percentage, to say this is how much percentage of households we providing water satisfactorily to expected standards. And we say, to a particular degree, we are not doing as we ought to. And within that category where we say we are not doing as we ought to, we also include those communities in which we have to implement what is called rationing in providing water. Providing rationing because the ability of our reservoirs, coupled with the illegal connections, make it impossible for the reservoirs to gather sufficient amount of water to provide to those communities. And even if we say we know there are days at which there is water and there are days where there's no water, we still count those in the category where we say we are not supplying according to standards. But as we deal with this, we must also make a specific mention of the fact that part of the things that we can report is that at least in the past 3 financial years, we have not returned our MIG allocation to the national fiscus owing to under expenditure and other performance. And it's an important fact because all the time we had been frustrated by having to return monies to the national fiscus when the communities actually do not have sufficient water. Now, the extent to which we are able to expend monies in projects that are aimed at providing water to our communities is one of those things that tell us of our attempt to provide services efficiently. Yes, here and there we have got shortages in terms of resources to actually provide those services. Our performance reports as an institution on all the functional areas, on all the key performance areas, for the past 3 years at least, we have been performing at least in excess of 85%. And as council, we said we'll accept nothing below 90% in terms of performance. And in the last mid-year report, we performed above 90%. And these are the performances that have been verified through the oversight processes, including through being part of the annual report of the organization. So all pointers that we have with us point to the direction that the best that we can, we are doing in the face of adversities that we're confronted with in the institution. I think Honorable Madlala made a very important point to say, look, it's not like we don't appreciate what you're doing, but our issue is that you seem to be comfortable with comparing yourselves with the bare minimum. And that's a very profound statement, that we are not satisfied, Honorable Madlala, with where we are. This is a point, and we say it always and in many ways, that we're not comfortable with where we are as an institution. Having said, we would want to be performing at least in the range far above 90% generally in terms of our performance management systems. That is what we want. Would have wanted at least to see the currently existing schemes, all of them, running with water. Even before we talk about new installations of new schemes, that is what we've been saying, that at least the schemes that you have must all of them be running. And it is what is not happening as things stand. So we truly, when we say we are doing well, we're not necessarily saying we are best, and we're not saying we are perfect. But we do argue that we are indeed a story of a turnaround of an organization from the worst of forms to the better. And it is our responsibility to acknowledge, because we've got teams that are dirtying their hands with work. And when there's progress, we always have the responsibility as leadership to appreciate those still accepting that we are not exactly where we ought to be as an organization. I'll only say, I'll only deal with the matter, Chairperson, around the SIU report, and say, in line with what I've said earlier on, that the report went to council. Council adopted the report. Council gave mandate to the executive mayor. Council gave mandate to the accounting officer. I do note the sentiment that has been expressed by the MM before this committee, and it is a sentiment I must commit to go back home with. That's the first point. I must go back home with this sentiment, because it's not in sync with our position as the council. But I want to say, given that the report as we speak now is a report of council and no longer an accounting officer's report, because it is now a report of council, because it has gone to council and has been adopted, I take full responsibility to ensure that we monitor the processing of the issues that emanate from the report. One of the issues that we'll still have the responsibility to look at and elucidate is the issue of the distinction in managing the issues that emerge from the referrals that came whilst the investigation was on, as well as the issues that come now from the final report. To determine if the process of handling those referrals has not been able to resolve whatever matters that might have been, which would lead to the process of dealing with the report being a bit easier. And I'm saying it's a matter that I need to apply my mind to draw the distinction, because the dealing with the referrals is a completely different business from dealing with the recommendations of the report, and I need to ascertain that. But beyond that, I want to make this commitment that as council now, we will take the responsibility to set timelines for the implementation of the recommendations so that there's no further undue delays on the implementation of what accrues from the report of the SIU. And still, on behalf of council, commit to this committee that we accept the report and that everything in our power will be done to ensure that its directives are followed to the letter. Thank you.
All right. There were some specific questions asked by the members. Thanks, Executive Mayor.
I wonder if on the issue of Lusikisiki.
Yes.
Thanks, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I think I wish I could clarify these some matters regarding the termination at Lusikisiki projects. Basically, there are two projects, Phase 2A and Phase 3C. The rest of other phases were completed. Chairperson. Phase 2A, not 2C, 2A and 3C. Phase 2A, Chairperson, the contractor abandoned the site and left behind when he was given conditional practical completion certificate, leaving behind some snags that he had to come and complete. This is the project which we recalled the contractor and we put them on site to complete. It's the one that was shown in the picture there, where there was road that was not completed before when you visited, and now was completed with cabs in particular that were left outstanding. Then Phase 3C, it's actually the contractor that was terminated, and upon termination, we replaced it and reappointed that contractor. Yes, and now they are almost completing. It's the one which we refer that it will be completed by April. So I just wanted to clarify those issues related to that Lusikisiki project. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Honorable Nantanja, you look like you're not satisfied that you've been served.
Chair, he is not responding to my question. My question is based on what the MM said, that they should have terminated the one who abandoned and came back again. He said they should have terminated that one. And then there was a lot of noise, people saying why it wasn't terminated. And then he said it was systems failures. So I want to know, I want the MM to unpack systems failures.
Yes, no, that's clear enough. I remember that answer. In fact, the MM sounded like if he could have done it, he would have done it on the spot himself.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I was actually corrected by my colleagues. They said to me, remember, what the contractor was dealing with at the time were just snags. Hence, we had already issued practical completion of the project. So the reason why we did not advise you to terminate is that it would have been costly to terminate and get another contractor to come finish work, which was almost complete because we had already issued a completion certificate. They then said to me, ours was to make sure that the contractor goes back to site and finish what was left because it had already issued with a completion certificate. So my colleagues corrected me and explained to me why I was advised not to terminate. So that's the reason why. On ESCOM, Madam, the issue relating to ESCOM has to do with the bulk water project, wherein this was constructed next to a high voltage power line. And ESCOM initially agreed to that. But when ESCOM visited there on themselves, they really discovered that the height of this thing was more than 15 meters high and therefore cannot coexist with the high voltage power line. And then they said, please remove this because it can't survive under such a high voltage power line. So it is, and then we said to Executive Mayor, yes, because they said initially we can go on, and we spent money of about 728,000 rands doing this thing, and they came back to say, but no. Because of the height of this, please move away from the power line. And we then, with the Executive Mayor, were saying, maybe we have a reason to talk to ESCOM and say, but you had led us to construct this here, and we have now incurred irregular expenditure. So you must foot the bill. That's what we said. So that's the picture, Chair.
Right. Thank you very much. I don't see an Honorable Skosana, so I will. Sorry?
Just a follow-up. Just a follow-up, Chair.
Okay, so
Just a follow-up.
in fact, you
just a
so you are not answered, or
Yeah, just a follow-up on the response of MM with regard to a completion certificate. How could the municipality issue a completion certificate before the job is completed?
Thanks very much. In terms of the engineering practice, when the work has been done, there's something which is called practical completion certificate, where you highlight snags, any areas that had to be finished, like building your house, and then your snags, cleaning and all that, but the actual structure has been completed. And then subsequently the snags, when they're done, then it's a final completion certificate. So that's a practical completion certificate, not the final completion certificate. And that's a norm in terms of the engineering in providing those information. Thanks very much.
okay, I'll leave it to follow up. I'll come to you, Honorable Matiwan. So I'll leave it to follow up. Honorable Maduna. Yes, and that will, and we'll take all the members. Actually, we'll take all the members, and then we get final answers.
No, thanks, Chair. With my couple of minutes, because it's my first time.
We'll keep you very busy tomorrow, trust me.
No, thanks. No, Chair. One, I think also in line with my colleagues, we must start by appreciating the presentation received. And I think also, Babu Mayor, there are just a couple of things I want clarity on. I think my colleagues have covered me on a lot of things. But I would want us to go back a bit to the Coffee Bay project. Perhaps I just want to check, was it the cover page that did not have the price, or the form that where you break down inside the document?
It is the cover page, sir. The price was written in the form of offer.
So, when the opening of a tender, given that it's done publicly, what amount did your officials write on the tender opening register?
They did not write any amount on the register itself.
So I would make an assumption that the register other bidders got, it's written in no amount in terms of that particular person.
You are correct, Honorable Member.
Perhaps, if I don't know, maybe the CFO might assist you. Why did they usually require that we write it outside the tender document, which reconcile with what is inside. What would have been the reason for that? In the inception of your, I forgot what is this? What of tender? I forgot the exact that defines how a tender it must be. Why would it been that they want the reconciliation inside the document and what is in the cover page to be the same? What would have been the reason for that? I'm asking this because, but Mayor, I want to help you.
Thanks very much, Chair. Chair, maybe first let me start by saying, while we were discussing the issue of Coffee Bay, there was a request which was made by the executive mayor and the MM to say there's quite a number of investigations that are taking place already on this matter. One is the issue that we are discussing the institution with Auditor General with regards to the whole IBU report. The second thing is that also the institution has taken a process of internal investigate this matter, because one of the things that we committed to AJC was to say, even internally, we must investigate if there was anything. So there's that process that is taking place to ensure that all these answers are answered so that the committee can get when we meet again. The last thing that I want to indicate is that also even the public protector is also looking into this. So there are various people that are submitting affidavit in terms of this whole project. So we are combining all of that to say this is the process that we are taking. There are outside bodies that are looking into this, and also internally there is a process that we are taking with regards to all of this. Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Chair.
No, I think, Chair, I'm actually okay with that answer. Because this tells you one thing, Bob Mayor. Tells you that the wrongdoing started with the person that was opening a tender. Because by the moment I write no amount, because when I open a tender document, I open it publicly. I must prepare a tender register where I write company, Matuna Investments. Matuna.
Yes, Matuna Security, there was Matuna Security, Matuna Security discussed here also in committee.
So Matuna Investments must not suffer. Matuna Investments has bidded with 5 million. In that register, I need to write my Tuna Investments for this tender bidded for 5 million. And I find that on the cover page. And the reason that was done was so that when I'm done preparing that register, I can give a copy to every other contractor that would have bidded for that tender, so that they would know that we have bidded, all of us, Mandlala bidded with this amount. It's in interest of the fairness of the process. Now, once there's no amount on the outside cover page, you are already disqualified. That's what it actually means. You already don't meet the minimum requirements for you to make it to the next stage. And it's just that I've not seen. I'm only seeing the matter now. But I remember I've seen it somewhere before. I've seen a situation like this before. It's not for the first time. I've seen a situation like this before. So I would actually advise, because the reason why I'm asking the MM this is because I want to advise you, You see, the institution usually collapse like this. You see, once you start taking HE to court, you can't mediate with HE, you can't agree with them. The likelihood is that you are going to lose. That is how institution ends up under administration and all these problems. This comes as an advice. But if you want to persuade the matter, you can. But rest assured, 2 years down the line, you would obviously remember these words. I've seen a matter exactly like that. I remember the second matter was a matter of in the same municipality. It was a matter of a tender amount that the person was not required to be a vet vendor according to the turnover that they were making. But after being awarded the tender, they met the requirements for. So after they've registered, the municipality would have added the tender, but it was not part of the firm offer. I remember those two situations very well. They ended up being along, but at the end of the day, the municipality ended up being the receiving end. I'm just passing by that. I think the second thing I would have wanted to ask, I see the chair is already not looking at me nicely. I think most of the issues, Chair, as I was saying, was covered. The issue, for instance, of the person of the ICT. You see, once you are told to do something that you are employed to do and you don't do it, we usually do what you say, an assessment of the damage of the loss because of your negligence or your actions. Now, even that person of IT, I'm sure you ended up in a regular expenditure of a serious amount of money because of just a minor action. There needed to be consequences there. He might not be fired over that, but there needs to be consequences over that. So I wanted to argue again, secondly, on the issue of consequence management. And then lastly, Chair, because I do not have much to say, I see that I am covered. Or I want to check on the issue of, I noticed that there is, in your register, there is an overpayment of, it's Kandu Corridor. I noticed that there is an overpayment of 1.2 million, which the payment exceeded the POQ, also the amount below, which is to macro business as well for construction of phase 3 upgrade. I think it's civil works of Ton Hill. Nakon, I can notice that there's 1.2 as well that is flagged as an overpayment. I want to check what consequences did you implement towards the consultant that was signing off those payment certificates? And have you recovered that amount? That's the second thing. And lastly, how far is the progress on the, it's Nsonyini. There was a good project we went to, Chair, leave alone that it was, it's Nsonyini demo. But that
You were not here, Honorable Matu.
yeah, I was not here. That's why I'm asking. I just want to ask. No, just to say we are on the ground now. This percentage, that's it. I'm just asking that. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, Honorable Madlala said he wants to go there again and drive on those roads. Are you covered, Honorable Skosan? Okay, thank you very much. Honorable Nilmay.
Good evening, Chairperson. Good evening to the Executive Mayor and your team that is here today, and to my colleagues present. Chair, I've got two questions. One on projects that have not progressed, which is quite a short question, and the other one is on governance structure in council. On page 13 of the report, several projects are indicated as not having progressed. In fact, there are 9 of them. And that was part of your financial turnaround plan. Yeah, it's the financial rescue plan. Now, can the municipality, I wouldn't say identify, but basically tell us specific reasons for the delays or lack of the progress? That is on slide 13. What financial allocations were made and how much of the allocated funds have already been spent? Were consultants or contractors appointed for these projects? What deliverables were expected? And were any penalties imposed for non-performance? And what recovery plan or revised timeline has the municipality put in place? That is slide 13. My last question is then going to page 16. On page 16, the governance structure indicates that MPAC reports to the chair of chairs, while the audit committee also appears in the reporting framework. Can the municipality clarify the reporting lines between MPAC, the chair of chairs, council, and the audit committees? In terms of governance best practice, how does the municipality ensure that the independence of MPAC is maintained if it reports through the chair of chairs rather than directly to council? What is the functional relationship between MPAC and the audit committee in addressing findings from the Auditor General? And how are audit findings escalated from the audit committee to council? And how does MPAC exercise oversight on the implementation of corrective actions? Has the governance structure improved accountability and oversight, or has it contributed to delays in addressing audit findings? Thank you.
Thanks, Honourable Nelme. Honourable Beasley.
Thank you, Chair. It feels like a bit of deja vu with the RAF here, and I've got a bit of post-traumatic stress, so I won't be long, because it's amazing the SIU are wrong, the Auditor General is long, and that to me just raises big flags. But my colleague, Honourable Matladla there, he asked a question, and I didn't see it being answered, was the manager tourism. The allegations were failure to disclose, alternatively failure to uphold ethical standards, gross dishonesty, bringing the name of the municipality into disrepute, fraud and corruption. That person is still there. Unacceptable. And to me it says everything about consequence management. The SIU referred, I think it was April in 2024, that's 2 years ago, and it's still there. And I'll put it to you, you don't have to answer it, because the only reason why you've started having these disciplinary actions now is because you knew that you were coming to thing now, and nothing's happened. The only reason, if you guys were serious about consequence management, this person would be suspended. And, I mean, imagine if you're an honest person and this person is still walking around there, and freely so. I mean, so consequence management doesn't exist, and I'll put it to you too, and you don't have to answer it, is the people overseeing the consequence management have got their own skeletons in the closet, because there's no ways of prescribing, officer, somebody found serious charges would say, no, we're going to give you a slap on the wrist. And I put it to you, if you guys were serious about consequence management, it would happen, and it's not happening, and that's a big concern. And maybe, Chair, somebody can enlighten me, Chairperson of Cocktail, what are the consequences for municipal managers and mayors when they don't implement consequence management? Because there needs to be consequences on them themselves, and that's not happening. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honourable Abuskar.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm going to start at a different point. I want to know, knowing that from the municipality that you are a disaster-prone area, what strategic planning changes have you or are you planning to financially and on infrastructure-wise and service rendering-wise to be better equipped to deal with regular disasters? And I'm referring specifically to the Municipal Disaster Recovery Grant and the Municipal Disaster Relief Grant. Do you have budgets for these disasters, or that in your medium-term planning? Then you referred under the unqualified audit for the past 3 years that improvement, that is really good. You referred to the Amatola Water Board as a fake entity. Would you give me a little bit more clarity on that? And how does this prescription of the fake entity impact on the reducing of audit findings? I really need to understand that. And then on that as well, can you give us a little bit more information on how does the unqualified audits, the material findings that has been decreased, how does that directly impact on service delivery in your municipality? You gave some examples on water distribution and so on, but are there any other projects that is directly impacted to the fact that you are managing the material findings, and how does it relate into service delivery? Then do you have an approved plan for all your infrastructure projects coupled to your capital budget, as well as conditional and non-conditional grants, to ensure that financial and technical planning has been done for all the projects in the pipeline, including new projects as well as maintenance plans, medium term as well as long term? If you have, who is responsible for that? And if you don't have that, don't you think that this is one of the planning aspects lacking in your municipality that could prevent the material findings? It also refers to some of the projects that you say that you are doing very well and therefore you can provide water, but still your municipality, there is no distribution of water to 45% of your residents. Now, linked to that, I would like to know, do you have a water plan for your municipality? Do you have a 10-year or a 15-year water plan, and with timelines that you know you are going in this direction? Because at this moment, Chair, with all due respect, I'm not sure about all these infrastructure and maintenance and all these things that's been done, and some residents are provided with water and some reservoirs are upgraded while the connection is there, that it's just, you know, like you take from A to B and from B to C, and in the end, it's the same group of people that are having the same problems, and those people without water stays without water. So do you have a plan to provide water for the 45% of people who don't have water yet? And then I want to come back to something that has been done by each and everyone but in Cocteau we are really focusing very hard on trying to get consequence management being done in municipalities. Now, I'm very glad that I've heard that there was an internal investigation to something in the municipality. That's the first time tonight or today that I've heard about any internal investigation. To my knowledge, there are various kinds of investigations or referrals, the SIU, Section 106, impact, and investigations that can be done by the MM himself based on what you find by your internal audit, if there is an internal audit and all those things. Chair, I would like to know, what does the MM understand about a disciplinary action? He stated that the disciplinary action based on the SIU report, referrals before the final report, which is actually legally binding to the municipality, as far as I could read up. Writing a letter to an official saying, these are the charges against you, or that's been said, is starting the process, but it's not investigating the process. So investigation means you have to follow up, you have to investigate, and then you have to have proof to say the person is innocent or not innocent, will be disciplined, and so forth. And normally, the way I understand it, the SIU will refer those kinds of matters to the municipality if that will not, in the end, if there's not enough prima facie evidence that it will be criminal, but it will be more disciplinary, and to stop the gaps in the process, supply chain procurement, or whatever kind of services is in the municipality, to improve that service by disciplinary action. So I would like to know what they really understand under disciplinary action. If disciplinary action is only criminal action, and if disciplinary action really goes into, say, you have to pay a fine, you have to do this, you have to do this, what kind? There's a lot of options that can be done. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Honorable Van Zyl.
Thank you, Chair. I have some sort of quick fire answer and question and answer session, so I don't know if you would like them maybe to answer that, and then I can conclude with my remarks being sort of an extrapolation type of questioning, like has been allowed all day. Thank you.
I'm not about to disallow it. I'm just making a consideration because, okay, let me do this. So Honorable Bila was sitting between Honorable Neil May and Honorable Skosana. I had some questions. So I'm going to read them because she would like them answered, and then we can just close. But if I can ask you to do the rapid fire. So Honorable Bila is asking, there are two questions. The number of managerial positions was reduced from 11 to 6. So the question is whether they were all Section 56 employees reporting to the municipal manager, and if yes, what guided or informed the municipality to hire 11 Section 56 managers? Because according to the Local Government Municipal Systems Act 32 of 2000, it allows a district municipality to appoint between 4 and 6, depending on the municipality structure. I'm sure you understand that. I don't want to answer the question on your behalf. The second, I think these may have been answered along the way, but I appreciate that she may have been in transit at the time. Progress on the remedial actions promised during the committee's visit last year. Municipal money to be paid within 2 months by affected employees. I think it's that issue that involves the union, some employees having paid it. So that's the one. And before the end of 2025, all reservoirs will be operational. Okay, I think that if you can just quickly deal with that. I don't want to answer on your behalf again. And then tenders will no longer be advertised in less than 30 days, for less than 30 days. And service providers will be checked if they are DEX compliant. She wants to know if that is indeed so. So I have done honor to Honorable. Right. So can we then do that and then we'll finish?
Thank you, Chairperson, and good evening to everyone. I know this is the last of the last. So, I just wanted to start by saying, doing a statement of saying that everyone here knows the Bermuda Triangle, and I think this is the OR Tambo Triangle because money goes there to disappear, it seems. To the MM, I wanted to find out, MM, from you, do you consider yourself as a local government specialist? MM?
So just do an exchange. So at a certain point, I will call time on it. So just shoot, yeah. Just deal with these answers only, and then we'll go back to the lots.
Do you think it's fair to go into this, Chair?
No, I have allowed Honorable Matuna. For remember your exchange with Honorable Matuna, I allowed it because when a member is going to a bigger question with 3 or 4 questions leading up to that, it does make sense to do so. Honorable Matuna asked a couple of questions because he was making a point. You understand that?
Let me try to the best of my ability.
Yeah, please do that.
I do not consider myself as a local government specialist. I consider myself as a local government practitioner.
Okay, then, I've done a quick Google search on your sort of career path. And what it has told me is that you have classified yourself as a local government specialist working for, in 2008, the Eastern Cape Socio-Economic Consultative Council. Is that correct?
That is the position I held when I worked for Exit.
Okay,
I was referred to as a local government specialist in that position.
Thank you. And then you went on to become a municipal manager in 2010 to Nyandeni, and then you started with the Eastern Cape Provincial Legislature, where you then went on. Earlier today, the Honourable Dereko asked you, how long have you been involved with the OR Tambo District Municipality? And your answer was 2023, appointed as the MM. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So I would like to ask, what did you do from 2021 to 2022 at OR Tambo District Municipality? Were you involved with OR Tambo District Municipality? 2021 to 2022. Were you involved?
I was appointed by the provincial cabinet as an administrator of the district when the cabinet decided to dissolve that council.
So then, Chairperson, my point would then be that this MM has actually been involved since 2021, not the appointed date of MM since 2023, which leads me to the next point, is that with the SIU investigations of the R80, it was since 2022, and the R172 is from 2024. So under the watch of Mr. Marcy, who's the MM and was the administrator under the Section 139, this all occurred. So that's just a statement. I will now move.
Ma'am. That's incorrect. I only was there for 3 months, between the 1st of December and 28th of February.
Okay.
So you can say exactly when was all of this happening.
Okay.
All I can tell you is that at that time, I acted on a number of things. I suspended some of the employees that were causing havoc there. I can count on many things we achieved at the time, but I was there for only 3 months.
Thank you, MM. Then I will just move on to the regular questions. It's no need for answering. You can do this as a whole of society answer. Just under the projects, under 3C Lusiki Siki, it was previously stated that it was 23% complete and there was a termination. We've sort of dealt with that, all of that today. I wanted to find out if the municipality has reported that contractor to National Treasury for it to be blacklisted, because it seems like it keeps on being resurfaced. Then just moving on to, there was some speak about billing. There was an area, I can't remember, it came from, I think, Honourable Matiwane, about an area that wasn't being billed, and they said it's quite violent there, so they're not going into that area, etc., etc. I wanted to find out about your indigent register. Is your indigent register up to date and updated yearly? Because, as you know, there's equitable share sort of comes from that scenario of your updated indigent register where you cross-subsidize and you can actually pay for services. Because I've also noted that you've got quite a big budget of, I think, about 6 billion a year, which is quite, it's quite a large budget. Then just on the 11 disciplinary referrals, and I know it's been sort of hampered on today all day, but the MM said there was only one person suspended. What raises the hairs on my neck is that the other 10, are they still in the departments where they were when they were arrested, etc., etc., because that would mean they are still busy. They can still be with their fingers in the cookie jars and, maneuvering things. So I wanted just to comment on that. Are they still in the departments where they were found guilty of certain things? Then I know the municipal manager spoke about over the past couple of months or this year, they've met twice with the SIU. That was a passing comment. The question at that stage this morning was, how many times has the MM over the past year, I think it was the Honourable Chairperson that asked that, and it was very vague. It was just to say, we met with the SIU twice this year. Has the MM himself been in meetings with the SIU over the last year? Can we have that specific answer? Then on the Mtlontlo cluster pump installation, I read in the SIU report that there was a contractor that was paid over 7.2 million rand for 3 pumps to be installed, but they only installed 1 pump. Has any of that money been recovered by the municipality from those responsible service providers? And then, just some broader governance questions. So multiple Tambo water infrastructure projects are under investigation for irregular payments. How much of the district's water infrastructure budget is currently under SIU investigation? And how many of that directly affect water supply to communities? Because obviously that wouldn't be the best. Chairperson, I think, and then also it would be amiss of me not to say it, this municipality is a proud municipality of one of the 3 pilot projects for the DDM, and I wanted to say again here on this platform that this is quite evident that the DDM does not work, because it's definitely not going well at this municipality. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honourable Mayor and Ma'am and Tim, can you then deal with the questions in turn, and then I'll see if Honourable Dr. Mkhize has got any comments or questions, and then we'll close.
It is simply not fair Honorable Van Sale, that you ask questions and make judgment calls about us at the same time. It can't be right. I will, however, deal with the points you have raised. Let me start with the rest of the questions. We take the advice from Honorable Maduna about some things he has advised us to look at, avoid doing. We're taking that. We will look at it and see what we can do to put our systems clear. My colleagues behind me will deal with the NATO overpayment. On the slide 13 on the FRP, we, Honorable Nilme, you see, I have said, we are the first municipality, please check the records at National Treasury, to have stayed in the rescue phase for just less than 18 months. And on the 15th of May 2025, as I say here, MEC graduated us from the rescue phase to the stabilization phase. But already, even before we complete 10 months, we are already at 52% of the stabilization phase. That shows the commitment we have on implementing the FRP. Yes, we still have targets that are in progress. We have a few that we have not commenced with. I can't off my head say which are these, but the picture shown in slide 13 makes us one of the references by National Treasury. We are called on to present in their meetings about how we have made it to this point, looking at where we are coming from not so long. MPEC is a committee of council. It reports to council directly. But our structure is such that we have the chairperson of chairpersons, who then coordinates all the work done by chairpersons and structure up the committee work. But MPEC still reports directly to council. MPEC chairperson attends all meetings of the audit committee. So there's life between MPEC and the audit committee. Each time MPEC feels like inviting the chairperson of the audit committee, it happens like that. Each time they feel like inviting the chairperson of the DC board, they do that. So there is life, basically, within all these committees of council. On a quarterly basis, the chairperson of audit committee will report to council. So I can say there's a proper interface between MPEC and the audit committee, the DC board, and all governance structures that must report to council. I don't want to seem to be defensive on this matter, or to be evasive for that matter, on the issue of the tourism manager. As I said, we wrote to all of them. They all wrote back to me to explain the allegations against them. This manager as well wrote back to us and say, hey, look, the work at that time was such that in many occasions, money would be paid. I'm not saying this is right. Money would be paid into our accounts. And we have a responsibility to show that this money was to pay these people, and it could show to us that this is a list of people with their bank accounts, their IDs, their signatures, who were then paid using this money. People that have worked with municipalities, they would even remember, in some instances, there was time when we were to pay money for transport for, what do you call these people from what? Ward committees. That money will be deposited into somebody's account, and that person has a responsibility to go pay. Those are practices that are not in line with the law. But these are practices that have been prevalent throughout. And I am not saying this was right. But having read the charges or the allegations against her, and having read her responses, we still have to prefer charges against her. But there was nothing that warranted a suspension.
Sorry, I just want to be certain who you're referring to here, because there was an issue that I wanted to raise in my closing comments, just to leave it with you about the nature of the referrals. So the SIU has given us the referrals.
Yes, sir.
And I think I've got in front of me the allegations against the tourism
Yes, sir.
manager. I need you to then assist me in terms of just the payments. Can you just repeat again? Which way were the payments flowing? Was she paying other people, or were the payments coming into her account?
How do I explain this? Look, Chair, I am not justifying this action at all, but let me explain this.
Just answer the question. Yeah.
Chair, you seem like you want to give me an answer for this.
No, I'm just saying answer the question. Which way were the payments going? Was she paying the service provider? Was the money coming into her account? It's a simple question. Let's not
The
beat
money
around.
came from the company that was appointed to manage that particular work into her account to pay people that had done work for that company.
Why couldn't that company do the payment itself?
And I said, the risk of this is like to say, it's like I'm trying to justify this. So please, Chair.
Okay.
It's not fair to me because
No.
I was not involved in this, but I'm exposing to commit to the committee what actually happened.
So, I need to now assert my authority in this meeting. You've spent all day giving us very long answers. Very long answers. And I've asked you on a couple of occasions, don't give us long answers, and you keep doing it. So it stops now. When an employee receives monies up to 120,000 rand, and the SIU actually itemizes these payments with dates thereon, the first thing I want to challenge you on is the essence of the answer you gave us earlier on, which was that there was not enough in these allegations to go on. That's what you said to us. And I've got time. I don't mind being here until 1 a.m., just on this matter. The other members can leave if they want to. We've now got to straighten this thing out right here. Okay, so, and we'll go through all of them. This staff member here received payments up to 120,000 rand from Lazola Media. And I'm quite happy to go down that rabbit hole because we've looked into Lazola Media as well. This can get interesting. So, Lazola Media pays on the 11th of September 2018 an amount of 75,000 rand is transferred into Ms. Ndagana's bank account. 25th October, 10,000 rand. 12th of December, 10,000 rand. 29th of May the following year, an amount of 5,000. 30 August 2019, an amount of 20,000. Monies from a supplier into a staff member are not acceptable. In the event that there is an exceptional circumstance, I would expect that staff member to inform their manager that, look, there was exceptional circumstances, this happened, I have now paid the money and here's the proof. An explanation post facto when the SIU has come around to finding this out is insufficient. So let me ask, where is Ms. Ndagana right now?
She's still at work, sir.
Okay. Where's Mr. Velem?
Mr. Velem is still at work, sir.
So which of these people have you taken any actual action against?
I have charged all of the people you have asked me about, sir.
When did you do that?
I started instituting disciplinary process. Within the month I received the report from the SIU, I did advance this point, sir.
So, so that we don't do the back and forth, here's the picture that has emerged during the course of the day. After this, we will write our report and we'll reach our conclusion. You are very energized when it comes to challenging the findings of either the AG or the SIU. And I want to remind you of our conversation in chambers around those two employees, one of whom is my cousin. That's how I know. You said the NPA indictment was weak. Have I seen it? The members were there. Today you gave us a different explanation about the report being set aside. The impression that we are getting, and we will discuss it as the committee, is that I asked you about two employees who have been arrested before. And you said there was going to be double jeopardy because they could no longer be charged.
Correct.
That's what you said earlier. When we asked you about the same at OR Tambo chambers last year, I questioned you. And there was a point where between you and the executive mayor, nobody wanted to pick up the microphone and answer. I questioned you about the wisdom of keeping in the building people who have been criminally indicted. That's why I was asking you today, about those people, and the answer you gave me was different. That's why I said to you, we might be talking past each other in respect of who these people, and I will deal with it at the end. But I just want to say this to you, because I doubt you are going to accept the fact that you have no motivation to take action against errant employees. That is the impression that we are getting. You, however, are highly motivated to do a couple of things. One, not respond to the SIU when it wants to see you. Slow walk disciplinary processes when you need to. Challenge the Auditor General when Mr. Ndagisa here is also telling us about a public protector's investigation over the same and a potential internal investigation. And I ask myself, if that is going on, what is it that you are so vehemently opposing against the Auditor General if there are two other processes that are taking place? So we will have a discussion about what we make of your submissions today. But I have to tell you what mine is. You are not willing to take action where you need to as an accounting officer. And I will place before both committees that view for them to discuss and whether they reach that conclusion or not. We've beaten around the bush all day. That's what it appears, and I've listened to the members. I've got all of the referrals. So if you, want us to go through them one by one, I'm quite happy for us to do so. But there is nothing in these referrals that does not resemble what I had described before. They're about 9 pages each. A staff member receiving monies over a period of time from a supplier is not worth actioning. Please respect us.
With all due respect, Chair, I have acted on these matters and I have reported before this committee that we are taking disciplinary processes against all these people that are flagged in the report. What more action do you want from me, Chair?
Your position is fine. It appears that the municipality has no difficulty with it. This body will form its own opinion of your submissions.
That's correct, sir.
Thank you. Can you please proceed with the rest of the questions that the members had asked? Oh, sorry, I've missed. Sorry, Honorable Madla.
Thank you, Chair. I realized that you were also closing down on this matter, so that's why I put my hand down. But I wanted to just echo your sentiments to say that for me, when the expressed his lack of confidence on the report, that was done. I don't think that we should be asking the anything about this. We can formulate our conclusion. That was the summary of all this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please go ahead,
Amatola Water Board matter was resolved. I'm not sure, when we didn't say it was fake, I'm not sure what the honorable member meant or whether I did hear her well. But the Amatola Water overpayment matter was resolved together with the Auditor General. Yes, we feel there's a direct link between the unqualified audit opinion and service delivery. as Executive Mayor has alluded, the amount and percentage of targets we are achieving in the years we have had an unqualified audit opinion has increased drastically. We are reporting achievement of targets of more than 80%. And there's a clear alignment between that and the unqualified audit opinion. Yes, my colleagues will talk to the infrastructure plan. We are implementing consequence management. We are very firm on that. Every other employee that has got allegations hanging over him or her, we are implementing consequence management. The number of positions in the organogram, this is in terms of the old structure. They were 11 senior managers, and therefore all of these were Section 56 managers. They were 11. But remember, the HR, local government HR regulations were only approved in 2022 that detail what an organization of our size, what number of senior position an organization of our size can have. We have complied with the HR regulations by reducing those positions from 11 to an approved organogram in December 2023 for 6 positions. So we have complied with that. We are no longer having any finding in the current term. All the irregular expenditure we're dealing with is coming from 2012, 2013, is for prior years. In the last 3 years, we have had no finding that relates to us advertising a tender for less than 30 days, us appointing a person with unresolved tax matters. So all these matters have now been dealt with. We have all systems that prevent this from repeating itself. We wrote to Treasury, we can confirm that, for blacklisting of Lutumo, the company that was doing Lusikisiki wastewater treatment works. We have written to Treasury to request for the blacklisting of this company. I'm sure we can show proof of that. We have written to Treasury about it. I then want to request, I can let me harp on this thing once more. We have never avoided to meet with SIU. We have met with SIU on the 19th of January this year. We met SIU in February this year. Anytime SIU wants to meet with us, we are open to meet with the SIU. We have established communication protocol for communication with the SIU so that whenever they need information with us, they know how to communicate with us. I request my colleagues to deal with the remaining questions.
Sorry, you actually have repeated precisely the thing the honorable member was saying she's dissatisfied with. We know that you've met with the SIU twice this year.
Yes, sir.
What the honorable member was asking, how many times have you met with the SIU in the past 13 months?
I do not have that record of head, sir.
Give us an approximation, please.
I don't want to take that risk, sir. I'm being honest, honorable members.
So honorable,
I may be found to be telling a lie when I say 10 or say 3, because honestly, I do not know. But I do know how many times we've met this year. Please bear with me.
No, you need to bear with us, You need to bear with us. Surely you can remember whether you met with the SIU at all last year or not. You might not be sure whether it was 4 times or 6 times or 3 times or 4 times, but you know you did.
We did meet, sir, last year. I can't count.
Did you meet with the SIU
Yes,
last
sir.
year?
I mean me, sir.
Several times?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what the honorable member was asking. And in your answer, again, you went around in circles. Honorable Van Zyl?
Thank you, Chairperson. I mean, the SIU is here. Can we maybe ask them to confirm or not?
Sure, we can. So, Mr. Koya, how many times in your recollection have you met with the MM last year?
Chair, maybe I should not commit an answer there because I'm based in East London. There's a team in Namtata that may have met with him. I may have to confirm with that team that is based in Namtata if they did meet. But between myself and Mr. Mase, I am not sure if we met last year, but he would have met the members who are based in Namtata. Thanks.
All right, okay. I think these two answers then squares. All right, please carry on. No, you Mr. Mas. You can carry on, yeah. We're just clearing that kink.
Okay, thanks, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I wish to address a few questions related to infrastructure. I wish to start with Nzonyeni. I think there was a question regarding whether could indicate the progress so far with regard to Nzonyeni. And very quickly, I can just say the current project that is implemented at the construction of the water treatment works is sitting at 20%. The abstraction was completed is 100%, but now we intend to go to tender for the dam. That is the one that is still outstanding. I'm referring to the major components of the program. Then now there's a question around Thonile and Ngadu. Unfortunately, the Honorable Mr. Maduna was not in the morning when we presented this, but I must state it very clearly that we arranged a meeting with AG to discuss what is referred, what is viewed in according to the perspective of AG as overpayment. I think there is misunderstanding. The meeting is scheduled for Thursday, the 12th. But just to give an indication, our view, our perspective as an institution is regarding the quantities or rates in the document in the BOQ, where is actually in some of the claims, you find that their quantities were exceeded what appears in the BOQ. And according to us, our understanding, according to the way we execute the projects, in some instances that happens, especially when you deal with earthworks. So when it happens, then you have to adjust your rates in terms of look at the quantities, look at where you save, and then to try and balance. But it's a matter that we want to get into detail. We didn't dispute it to AG. There's no dispute, but just to get a common understanding on Thursday. So that's it regarding the Thonile Ngadu. But then now the issue of plans, I wish to state it very clearly. It's one of the compliance requirements when you implement these projects. For all the funding that we receive from COGTA, WSIG, that is from DWS, we are required to develop a project implementation plan where we highlight for even the oncoming year how we're going to implement the projects, indicating allocations, the progress, indicate the status of individual project. It's a requirement that must be submitted, a compliance requirement. So we do have that. But there's also even a related question around the maintenance plan. We do have an operational maintenance plan as a district to maintain our infrastructure. However, I must state some shortcomings. One of them is still, we cannot have sufficient funding to ensure that we do what is referred to as preventative maintenance. So far, we are reacting. When anything is broken, we attend it immediately as emergency. But according to the plan, we're supposed to be like the vehicle, when you maintain a vehicle, the schedule, have those schedules, and then we just go and maintain periodically all your various components of the equipment. We're not yet there, but we are progressing towards that. We started in some instances, but I cannot say we really fully complied all our schedules, our maintenance schedule. Then there's the issue around the master planning. That is in terms of looking at our backlog. That's one critical challenge that we have. That's what makes us not sleep at night in our institution. The inherent backlog in our district, which is sitting at 45%. Most of our areas, communities, are completely unserved. They have no infrastructure that exists for them to ensure that they receive water. So we have, actually as a district, developed a long-term plan, which is not well documented. That's an unfortunate thing. Because all the programs, regional projects that we're implementing, I think the Mkanduli that we spoke about, which falls under KSDPI, King Sabata Talinjebo Presidential Intervention, which is the bulk infrastructure that is aimed at conveying water from Umtata Dam to within 40-kilometer radius around Umtata, covers KST and Nyandi, is one entire program which is meant to mainly to address the backlog. You also have got Lukwetu, that is reticulation, which covers part of the southern edge of the OR Tambo. We have got all the regional projects, quite a number of regional projects that are aimed at addressing the backlog. If I can illustrate the figures, as it is appears 45%, according to our plan, we're looking at 2030 plan where we thought that it could reduce that backlog to 15%. If all those projects, including Tsonyen, was one of those regional projects that are made, that are actually supposed to address our backlog. So if you look at the 190,000 households or 41,000 households, that must so 190,000 population people versus or 40,000 households. Those households, if it could be served with water, they'll reduce the backlog in our district. So these are the plans that we have. But we're hoping that at some point we have to develop a master plan, a well-documented plan that demonstrates exactly what I'm talking about when you refer to these programs. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thanks, Chair. There was a question on the indigent register. But, Chair, maybe first on a lighter note, you've just created a rift between me and Mr. Kriba from today onwards, because he wants all the money goes to infrastructure. So you must take responsibility for that. If no departments receive funding, you must take responsibility for that.
We like Mr. Kriba. He was our tour guide.
Yeah.
He was our tour guide when we don't forget our tour guides.
I can see the relationship.
We do not forget our tour guides.
I can see the relationship now. But Chair, I think the question was on the indigent register. I think we said we are updating the indigent register on a quarterly basis. But what we said, based on the finding that AG picked up, we said now we're going to request them, because they do have the system of CATS, to make sure that those people that they don't qualify, they help us take out of that register. So that's what we're doing. We're updating the indigent register. Thanks very much, Chair.
All right. There were the questions from Honorable Bila about the managers in terms of section something of the Municipal Systems Act. Do you recall the questions that I read out? Did I miss the answers? Yes. I did. Okay, I was taking notes at the same time. My apologies. Okay, honorable members and our guests from. Now I'm afraid to go back home. I'll have to slaughter something. And invite them. No, thank you very much. I do want. Sorry, Honorable Dr. Mkhize, I forget. I had made a promise on your behalf that you might want to say something before we close.
Yes, when the members are done. I see there's another hand.
Is there? Oh, are there hands? Okay. Honorable member is looking at me with those eyes that guilt tripping me. It's fine. Please go ahead.
No, thank you, Chair. You forgot that earlier on we had asked the list of irregular expenditure, which was then later provided to us. And the risk that we are running is that this breakdown is already going to the council to be written off. Yet we have not broken it down in terms of the investigation and consequence management thereof. It's quite a long list, but there are very interesting numbers that have come out of that list. It's reference 50182. It's 5.5 million. That one says, the AG says it's irregular because no minutes of bid specification committee. And this then demonstrates that the bid specification committee didn't sit and there were no bid specifications. 58336, the same. Minutes of the bid specification committee were not provided. There's no sign of bid specifications. 8815, 124 million. There were no supporting documents of the tender. 8840, 550 million. There were no supporting documents of the tender. Line 8841, 977 million. there were no supporting documents on the tender. Line 8839, 67.9 million. There were no tax clearances for those companies. Line 8842, 526 million. There was no tax clearances. This is the list that we received. And if it is going to council without us being taken on board as to what are the actions that were taken on these line items, we can't write off such a lot of money and we don't know what is happening. Can we be taken on board as to what is happening here, please?
All right, Honorable Fansale, just got one more question, and
Thank
then
you.
we'll take an answer.
Because I'm from the Eastern Cape, we'll call it Eastern Cape privilege to have a second bite. Chairperson, this is just in passing and something that popped up. Honourable Esak earlier today asked about the performance agreements, etc., etc., and the MM has been very clear on how proud he is that this institution has moved from the previous to this. I wanted to find out if his administration, according to those performances, agreements and contracts, etc., etc., if his administration himself and any of the Section 56 managers has received any cash gratuities or performance bonuses for this improved, because we know they are real and they are there, all the while communities suffer and don't have water, 45% of them. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry to ignore you. Yeah, no, the quick one will take, although we'll be here at 11.
No, I wanted to find out, Chair, on the Lusikisiki wastewater treatment. There's a picture there that is provided of the access road. I want to check if that access road is the complete state of the access road. If that's the complete state of that access road, what were the specifications for that access road? Thank you.
Okay, I've closed questions now. Honorable Mayor and MM, please, if you can assist us, and then we'll be done. Starting with Honorable Mendes' question. Oh, sorry. Did I forget something? Am I missing a hand?
No, not at all.
No, I'm coming to you to answer. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, that's what I'm doing. I'm saying I'm handing over to you and your team to deal with the questions.
No, thanks, Chair. I appreciate that. Exactly that. No. Firstly, Chair, I think I'll request Mr. Matomela to give some brief answer. But truly, I would really not be sure if it is accurate, one, to say these are going to council for writing off, because there's processes that must still unfold in terms of the oversight work and everything. That's the first point. So I do not think they are going to council now. But secondly, as much as I accept that the committee might be interested, it is my understanding that that function would still be resting with the council to undertake oversight, and that as in when the committee thinks wants to have a bite, it would recall us to do the work, because I'm only trying to be clear or to get clear that we do not mean that the committee will prefer that it deals with the matters before council processes are actually undertaken. I wanted to deal with that, but regardless, I will request Mr. Matomela to give some background on the status of the bids that are made reference to. But I thought I should deal with that firstly. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks, Executive Mayor. I think we don't want to usurp the powers of council. We wouldn't. I think Honorable Mendes' question is to distill it. What are you intending to do with these irregularities? That's the essence of the question. Do they are you going to write them off? Are you following up on these? That's the question. That I think it can be answered. Yeah.
Yes, Chair, I think we're together. Hence, I was saying that there's still processes that must unfold that will determine the course of action that is to be taken. What I was trying to clarify is that it's not that they are going to council now specifically to be overrating. Yeah, thank you.
No, the problem, Chair, was the assertion earlier on was that these figures will not be in the next audit annual report. That was the assertion, and it was very emphatic, meaning which this, all of it will be dealt with. The only way to deal with these numbers is writing them off. If you still stand by that assertion that we won't see these numbers in the next annual report, then it means we will still see them if there is an ongoing process, because the financial year of the municipality is slowly approaching. And I don't think within this time frame you have adequate time to have dealt with these numbers.
Okay. I don't want to tell you how to choreograph a team. It was the municipal manager who made the assertion. I think the right person to articulate what he meant is him, right? That's what I would do. And yeah, I know that English is not our first language, but we might all benefit from an explanation of what the assertion meant, because I remember someone saying that we will deal with these in short order, and yeah, hence honorable member's interpretation. Of course you can.
Thanks very much, Chair. Chair, the irregular expenditure, some of them is with the DC board. The disciplinary board is busy investigating some of the irregular expenditure. The other one is with the MPEC, so it's categorized. And as you are aware, we are using what we call separation of powers. The MPEC is the legislature, they are doing what they are doing, and then they will submit whatever recommendation in line with the Budget and Reporting Regulation Section 74. But the process now, they are with the DC board. But I can tell you what we had in our midterm engagement with Treasurer in terms of Circular 132. Treasurer was with us, we are saying, we need to work on the prior year's irregular expenditure. When they say work on the prior year's irregular expenditure, they don't necessarily mean writing them off. If you look at the disclosure on the AFS, we normally categorize those that are under investigations. If there are those that there is evidence that there must be repayment, we categorize as such, and then it changes maybe to be an irregular expenditure, or maybe to be the debt. So those are the processes when I think we're saying we are dealing with them. But the assertion is that, Chair, we are dealing with all of those irregular expenditure. If you could check with National Treasury, part of the crisis that we had is that some of them, they're dating back in prior years 2013, which I think is one mistake that we are trying to make sure that the current year's irregular expenditure are dealt with. So that's the process that we are following, Chair. Thanks very much, Chair.
So may I suggest the following then? So, and this committee does the same in respect of national agencies as well. So can I ask that you resubmit this report? I think the MM may have been over-exuberant in his words because he did. I also did get the impression that these matters are on the chopping block. They're going to be dealt with right now. Can you please resubmit this report, categorize? So what we want to know is by year, right? Because they go back a long time, more than a decade. Just say which of these originate in which year and which stage of being dealt with they are, right? So in other words, what is in disciplinary, what is in recovery, if you need to recover money from someone, what is going to be kind of taken from future allocations, etc. All of that. Can you just do that? Because you're mentioning that there are MPEC processes and so on. That will be more helpful. But when you read the spreadsheet raw, together with the MM's honorable member's apprehension is obvious. You understand? So if you can please do that, that would assist us. Thank you.
We have proved it to you.
We have to go to bed at some point. We have to finish at some point because we are still here tomorrow. Can we just get those last few questions? Honorable Mkize wants to say something. So let's just deal with Honorable Pilar's questions.
We have dealt with Honorable Pilar's questions, sir. On the last one on performance bonuses, we have not received performance bonuses, but we are praying so hard that we get bonuses this year.
You can recommend.
You can recommend, Honorable Chairperson, having looked at our work. Honorable Matuna, who else has done the miracles we have done in such a short space of time?
Okay,
So
please.
No, there's a response that I didn't get when it was asked the understanding of the DC process of your office. And earlier on, you said you don't get involved in DCs. Yes, that's a given. That's a given. But the initiators are with you. The strength of the case is between the initiator and the office. What is the relationship between you and the initiators? Or do you have a private person who just takes over and continue with the process without you having to ensure that the strength of the case is solid enough that we get the required outcome? As much as we don't get involved, but the outcome is dictated to by how the case is presented. And how the case is presented, if there is 10 million involved, and how the 10 million was dealt with in terms of maladministration or corruption, or an employee that received money from a service provider while they are in the employ, it should be as clear as that. Because if that is not clear, then the chairperson of the DC is going to be lenient and give a final written warning if the case is not as watertight. Thank you.
Okay, I am really having to end it, and Honorable Madlala is going to be upset with me, but we will be here until the evening. So, okay, so Honorable Mende, are we taking that as a comment or it's a question? Okay, what role do you? Yeah, please quickly.
I have a strong labor relations unit in the organization that works directly with the Director of Corporate Services. They deal with these matters directly, and they then inform me about or recommend to me the charges they want to prefer to a particular individual. So that is how we are structured.
Okay. So that access road, and I think Mr. Griba would know because we were there together.
Yes, yeah, no, that road is not completed. I think we have indicated that that will be completed in April, end of April. Yeah, we still have to surface that here.
Okay. Honorable members, can I give to Honorable Dr. Mkize? A parting shot, because Honorable Mkize's comments will be the last, so please.
No, that's why I'm requesting, Chair, that before...
Because you don't have to speak after him.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. No, I wanted firstly to take this opportunity to thank the invitation and engagement. The invitation and engagement by the committee. I do reiterate that when SCOPA was in Mthatha, the chair did commit that you will spend time with the district in a bid to develop it into a better organization. And I want to still emphasize that we still appreciate that. We've got a few take-homes that we must deal with as we go home. Amongst others, obviously the issue of the pace at which we are dealing with SIU-related matters and all matters that have actually emanated from that particular engagement. I make this commitment to take this as part of the providence that as we go home, we must take and find a mechanism to deal with and manage. But I do want to emphasize the point that we have a good working relations with the SIU, at least the Mthatha team that we interact with more often. And that, to the best of my knowledge, there's not been times where we're doubtful of their intent. I thought I should emphasize that point. I think we do take note of the advice or comment from Honorable Maduna about how we manage the Auditor General related affair. Obviously, without saying, we must not explore the avenues at our disposal that are permissible by law, but we still have to ensure that we put the interest of the organization at the forefront. I emphasize this point. We're not exactly where we want to be. We're not exactly the kind of organization we want to be, but I still maintain that we are trying our best. I do want to emphasize to colleagues that when you turn around an organization as big as our Tambo district, it is not something you do over a single financial year, or even 2 or 3 sometimes. This is a big organization. The structural reforms that we've undertaken talk about downsizing the structure of the executive management, that being directorates, cutting them from 11 to 6, has been a marathon for us. Downsizing the number of posts from the organizational structure with about in excess of 1,000 has not been one of the simplest things. Enabling this organization to spend optimally on the grants has not been one of those simple things. Dealing with audit issues, its management and all implications has not been an easy thing. Ensuring that quite a significant number of reservoirs that did not have water for years do have got water today has not been an easy ride. This is but one of the few achievements that one can go to town about. And we raise this with utmost humility because we know exactly, in the words of Honorable Madlala, we are not aiming for the bare minimum. We want to be the best. So we do commit to this committee that will do our best to deal with issues that seem now shaky, but all in the interest of the organization and the pursuit of justice. I just wanted to part shots with those words. Thank you.
No, thank you very much, and thank you very much to your team as well. So thank you. Let me hand over to Honorable Dr. Mkhize.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I think we must start by thanking you and commend you for your energy. You've run this meeting from very early in the morning, and it looks like if we didn't protest, you'd still be going on. So, so we want to commend you for that. And I must say the skill with which you have managed it is, again, quite commendable. The list of the regular expenditures, as it has been tabled, I think it is correct that Honorable Mente should have made the assumption that she made. It's a whole list of over 653 million, and the amount to be recovered is 0. And then, of course, the rest is for writing off, 236 million. And so it does need to be explained. It's not something that you can just assume. So we do need to get that to come back to us. I think you need to accept that in good faith and not create a sense that there's a contest of power. I could hear the back that from your kind of legal parlance, there might be a sense that why would the committee want to deal with this issue, because you still got your council to deal with it. Now, once you approach it and give us that kind of sense, you're creating a sense of worry. And therefore, when we look at it, we get concerned about that. You met with SCOPA. You also met with the combined committees as well. And you are now meeting us now again combined. When we do so, in the last visit, what we did, we actually tried to bring all the three spheres at the same time, precisely to close these gaps. And so I think we need to be clear of what is it that we're trying to do. It is not an exercise of contestation of power. And if we send such a message, it becomes a bit dangerous. So I'm just wanting to draw that line so that we don't get tempted to misunderstand each other when there are issues that require attention. I would say my concern in this whole matter is that the posture and the body language should not be made the enemy of the facts. You have facts, but also the body language creates a different sensation. You know, the way you have dealt with this issue may probably not necessarily be doing justice to some of the issues we should be looking at. Where there are weaknesses, I think we should concede up front. Where there's been achievement, allow us to give you the praise if we think you do need it. But to think that because your predecessors have been substandard, then because they have been very poor, then we can accept you being substandard, would be a problem. You know, we don't believe that of an Auditor General's report, there should be a situation where we say that there is a reason why the Auditor General could have decided to pick on you instead of looking at the facts when they've been, you know, objective in the rest of the other cases where they've done the auditing. So you have had a very terrible history. Political instability and all the problems and the fight, and being amongst the top 10 of the West UIFW record, it's certainly not a place to wish to be at. And once you have really moved away from that, certainly we should all be together with the understanding that we can see an effort that has been put to try and clear this very negative image, which we believe at this point to have unqualified audit report does indicate a real departure from the past that has been really quite unbearable. But having said so, it does not then mean we must then gloss over or disregard negative reports that have come from the comments of the Auditor General. We would not be doing our job. And so it's important for us to say, now, we don't expect you to contest. We don't also expect you to be dismissive or in denial of things that are being pointed out to try and make you better or even bringing you closer to perfection. Now, obviously there are challenges. Some members have said here that we must remember, even an unqualified audit does not mean the best of service delivery. I think your issue around the water projects has proven to you. You had to go and rebuild all of those with the unqualified audit opinion, but people are not getting water, and you know, you were telling us you had to go and correct a number of things yourselves. So some of the issues around the disaster, the fact that you still have got victims today who are not given attention to, it's an issue that we need to look at. But I must say that the two things have come out quite strongly for us, which don't make us comfortable. And I must say up front, the first one is the issue of SIU writing 4 or 5 letters indicating difficulty in meeting up with you. And then when you respond, you create an impression that they are just being unreasonable about it, or your reference to protocol does not necessarily help us because, they have written to someone in your office. And on that basis, we think that the issue of the SIU does need a lot more respect in managing it. And I don't think the issue of saying that you don't know why they had a problem with it, but they have got proof to us. They hear the letters that are indicating. So whatever the miscommunication was, it must be in your office. And that, for me, is an issue that does need to be, attended to, especially because of the other issues that are associated with this. Now, when we follow some of the issues raised by the Auditor General, you might take them as small issues, but the fact that from where we sit, in terms of the UIFW, there's been delays in the disciplinary processes. It's an issue. It's worse when you have to stand up and contest whether, in fact, a person who receives money in their private account should, in fact, not have been suspended, and then such a person, you've got an explanation. And in some of the instances, you've got a referral, but then on the other side, you want to say, listen, I'm not even prepared to deal with those. Now, that already gives us a bit of a problem because in the first instance, we're not moving from here. We're moving from the fact that there has been proof to us that there was a communication that didn't get attention that it should have got. Whatever the explanation is, but there is a situation. So I'm just alerting you to the fact that on your journey towards improving yourselves, then you must always know that someone else might be looking at the blind spot that you think are minor issues, but for us they are not. And so that is the one of the issues. And of course, we would have expected a lot more quicker action to deal with those referrals as well. It was then raising this issue of the basis on which you can be so certain about the fact that all of these irregular expenditures will be cleared. And that issue that was raised at the end would have still remained as a challenge that would have wanted to pursue to see how you ultimately dispose of that issue. Some of the issues that you want to take the Auditor General's on a review about are again a bit of a concern to us. From where we sit, you raise an issue. I don't know how many people have come back and raised this issue of no written offer. Sounds like a minor thing, and you keep dismissing, and the more you dismiss it, the more everybody becomes a bit more suspicious about it. And that's an issue. I'm saying that, we cannot be combative about the way we explain what has been pointed out as an irregularity. I said, Chairperson, I was saying to the team that just my experience in the past, I spoke to one Director General and said to them that between someone who's standing trial and a magistrate, when a judgment is made about whether they would have committed the crime or not everyone will listen to the one who is being accused. They'll really listen to the magistrate. And in this case, when you've got an assessment to be done, you will less likely to listen to the one who is being audited than the one who does the auditing. And our mandate is to make sure that when the Auditor General is done with you, there are no comments. And as long as there are issues, we are going to be on the side of the Auditor General, because that's our mandate. That's why we're here. And I think we need to just make that point quite clear. So you might have thought it's a small issue. Somebody should have just written the offer, but they didn't do that. And it's not a serious issue, but we think it is. Now, in Ngandu, Lusikisiki, Thornhill, it's the same pattern. Overestimated bill of quantities, and then there's a subsequent overpayment, 1.2, 2 point something, and that amount, and then there's less progress than has been recorded. Now, I think the gentleman at the back dismisses it as well, said, no, that thing happens. But to us, it's a pattern Now, we got a pattern like that, but when you come here, instead of you seeing it as a pattern, you're basically beginning to say, no, don't worry about the Auditor General, we know what's going on. It doesn't make us comfortable. And so you might have had a lot of good progress all along, but once you start showing us this, it creates a bit of a concern. We need to watch here. There's something we're not seeing that is coming up. And that's the point I'm trying to make to you. You raise even a simple issue of the SCOM. SCOM agrees that you can go ahead with your water tank, and later on they turn around and say, no, it's more than 15 meters, blah, 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 and so on. It doesn't remove the fact that this matter could have been dealt with more tightly. If they had to say so, they should have actually signed for you and written you a concurrence where they would say, yes, we concur. And when they now want to renege, then we must pass the bill to them. Straight like that. It needed to be like that. Now, we can't say, they say and it's not like that. And so when you've got these small issues in your mind, in our mind, we are actually employed to look for these weaknesses and make sure that we know exactly what they mean. And that, for me, is where the point is. At the end of it, we do want to see concrete evidence of consequence management, the list of all the people that have been acted upon, and timeously and exactly to what extent there has been consequences. So we think you need to tighten those up, because even if you've got any further progress in this issue, we will always be uncomfortable that there's something that somehow gets overlooked in the context of contesting what the Auditor General's view has been about your situation. At the end of it, it's all about service delivery. You could have all of this done properly, but at the end of the day, do the people of Tambo get the water? Do they get all the necessary services? Now, it's a very poor municipality. The whole district it's got very rural community. But all of this together means that we must all be satisfied that everything has been done and the system has been put in place to make sure that whatever limited resources they do actually reach out to the community, that they receive the services that they deserve. Then we don't have to put the blame on you. We have to actually turn around and say, well, this is what we can do. So that, for me, is really what I would say is a caution that would like to leave on this matter, as it were. I think it's a problem. One member said the power of the to want to take to court a report that has been tabled to the council. It begins to create a question as to whether you would have disregarded the fact that the matter was discussed in council. So I would say at the end of it, we would like to see you rising and clearing more and more of the past, negative audit outcomes. But it doesn't mean when we point out that there are things that are not right, simply because of the past history, we should then be saying, okay, then let's disregard everything. And I think, Chair, you have done well in actually going straight on to those issues, because we're sitting here, our role is just to make sure that we must, ensure that there's improvement, there's adequate service delivery, there's consequence management, and that is what our responsibility is. And it doesn't matter how well and how flowery the language is, our eyes are supposed to focus on that. Anything else doesn't matter. And so that, for me, is what I think would be our message to you as you leave. Otherwise, Chairperson, I want to say thank you to you. I must say I have been, again, impressed with the way you have handled the meeting. And certainly, I think all the members here are quite comfortable that they've been given as much time as was possible. I'm not sure how many municipalities we can promise as much attention as we've done here, but certainly I hope that it really remains a good lesson for all of us. You've done your best, and the team, thank you very much to everybody. And to the OR Tambo team, we hope you travel safely. And we might still call you again, and so you must know it's our job to do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Just a housekeeping announcement. We start at 9:30 tomorrow. 9:30, yeah. And we'll start on this side, on the left, and go this way. Thank you very much, and safe travels once again.